Red Leatherface, yellow Leatherface, red Leatherface, yellow Leatherface, red Leatherface, yellow Leatherface, Crappy Tappy Johnny, Crappy Tappy Johnny. Woo! Yeah. So how 3 red Leatherfaces, yellow Leatherfaces, and then 2 Crappy Tappy Johnnies.
3 yellow Leatherface, 2 Crappy Tappy Johnnies, and 1 Bobby Shorts. Merry Christmas.
You know, they say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But what would happen if one man filled another's with the scariest films of all time?
Who are you talking to?
Nothing. Ready to watch some movies?
Aw, yeah.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Matt Makes Zac Watch Horror Movies. I'm Matt. That was Zac, I guess.
It's the movie watch. You get it?
Yeah, what did we watch?
Conjuring.
Yeah. So
they do the clap thing in the movie.
Yes. The weirdest way to play hide and seek of all time, but it works.
Only in a ghost movie
Yeah.
would they play hide and seek that way, just for that scare.
No, Zac, it's based on a true story. So, Zac, what was your familiarity with the Conjuring franchise of films?
I thought this was the one with the Darth Maul man, and I was sad.
That is the other set of James Wan ghost movies starring Patrick Wilson. How could you get them confused?
Because they're all the same movie. I don't know.
I mean, the Conjuring movies are better, but
I've only seen this one now,
Yeah.
but I was just, I only know the Darth Maul man.
You didn't know Annabelle?
Well, I knew that there's Annabelle and the Nun.
Yeah,
Those came out
the
recently.
Spin-offs. The only successful cinematic universe outside of Marvel is the Conjuring franchise, and I love it.
Is it successful though? Because I thought people don't like the spin-offs.
They make money. And I know like the first Annabelle gets a lot of hate, but apparently the second one's pretty good.
There's more than one?
There are technically 3. Although Annabelle Comes Home, the one that came out earlier this year, is kind of just like, it's like Conjuring 2.5 from what I've heard. Because Annabelle Comes Home is basically Annabelle in the Warrens' house with all the other ghosts, like getting the daughter and her friends.
Happy Huntsman.
Yeah, but spooky.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I just Darth Maul man, and
He's not. I'm sorry.
well, that's all I knew about, or what I thought I knew.
It's like Friday the 13th all over again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, where's the Darth Maul guy?
His name is Lipstick Demon. Thank you.
Is it him from Powerpuff Girls? Please.
No, but all right. I have a very fun fact. You know who plays Bathsheba in this movie?
The guy who looks like Chester Bennington.
Yes, his name is Joseph Bashara. I just found this out literally right now. He also plays the Lipstick Demon in Insidious. And can you guess what other job he has on these movies just from looking at him?
He could be any number of things.
He is the composer for the score.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me that James Wan was like, I don't know, you're also weird looking. You want to be a demon? Twice he's done that to this guy.
Oh no. I mean, it's like John Carpenter with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
You walk funny.
Yeah,
You
be in my
Michael
movie.
with Nick Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember.
But now that we know your familiarity, what did you think of the movie, Zac?
I like Patrick Wilson. He was funny.
Did you not care for the rest of the movie?
I'm not really into ghost stuff. Like that's why Poltergeist was such a happy surprise, because it was just like a fun movie. This was just like how you described it was the best. It's what you think it is, but it's the best of that.
Yeah, it's like if you got, it's literally if you got one of the most talented directors working today with a screenplay that was like been worked on in a good way. It's been worked on like to death for years, like plotted and perfected.
Yeah.
And then like hired 2 of like the best actors to play your leads, and we're like, go.
Yeah.
You're gonna wind up with a pretty good movie. Like,
yeah. I will say the like cinematography and stuff was so good. And Lipstick Man did a great job on the score.
Yeah, the score to this movie is great.
Yeah, it was in the beginning, and there's like, as the captions put it, sour piano notes. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like a super horror movie thing. How has there not been that in any other horror movie yet?
I mean, it's kind of there in some of them.
I mean, not as like prominent though. Like,
yeah,
this was the first time I noticed it.
Well, this is a very specific like throwback to a specific era. Like, not only did they want to set it in the 70s, they very much made it like a 70s movie, which I like.
The Texas Chainsaw intro with the subtitles.
James Wan like seems to really know and like horror, because there's always stuff kind of sprinkled throughout his movies that I really enjoy kind of finding.
Yeah, that was another cool thing about this movie. Watching other horror movies, then leading up to this, I'm like, oh, I know that. I understand that reference.
Well, I mean, it's kind of got some poltergeist moments.
Oh yeah, the static, the TV
the static on the TV, the cop walking into the garage.
Yeah,
it's all very poltergeist.
Yeah, but
he seems to really like poltergeist.
You don't say.
Insidious is basically like a better remake of Poltergeist than the Poltergeist remake.
It's a Poltergeist remake.
There is. It's got Sam Rockwell in it. It's not good.
Oh boy. But yeah, it's not that I didn't like it, because it was a well-made movie, but I'm just not into ghost stuff.
It's just not your thing. Yeah.
It didn't suffer from what Blair Witch suffered, where nothing happens, like, other than just suspense. Like, it actually showed stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, because to me, if someone's getting thrown around the room because they're possessed, I just think it's funny. Like,
that's fair.
They're just like, wee. Yeah. And like Nelly, your wife, mentioned what we do in the shadows.
Yeah.
That's all I could think. But yeah, so
like, you're not wrong. Like, I get it. But as someone who really likes ghost movies, this is towards the top of the list for me. Not like number one or anything, but like maybe like top 10.
Yeah. Because I would be the Brad of the movie, where it's like, that was,
I would 100% be the Brad in real life.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I would be the Brad in the movie, where like, that's a draft, stupid.
Yeah.
But that's why I liked Poltergeist, because it kind of was like, yeah, ghosts are pretty ridiculous, so let's go for it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, where this was just like, oh, it's creepy the whole time.
All right, should we jump in here to the movie itself?
It opens on a shot of
all of this is based on true events, everything they say,
which I didn't know.
Yes. Although I want to say we are not breaking our rule when we said we would never do movies that are based on real things.
Well, based on serial killers.
Right. But we're not breaking that rule because, one, it's not serial killers, and two, this is all I'll say on it, and then we can move on because it has no real bearing on the movie. Ed and Lorraine Warren were full of shit. I find them as absolutely fascinating figures within pop culture. I think they are super interesting. I think they've got some great ghost stories that may or may not be true, but typically don't involve them as much as they would like you to think they did, for one thing. And also, a number of them have been proven to be demonstrably false multiple times over, the ones that they're most famous for. So I think they're really entertaining hucksters who I appreciate being out in the world spreading joy to horror lovers everywhere. And I like this movie, and I like the characterization of them in it. But yeah, they're full of shit, so it's fine.
Yeah, I didn't know it was based on, because when I watch a ghost movie, I don't think, oh, true story, because even if it's based on something, I don't believe that story to be true to begin with.
So you don't believe in ghosts?
This is the one time that I'll say it, since this is like the first like super ghost movie, because I don't want to like beat a dead horse. To me, I think our brains are very complicated and in unexplainable ways that we don't fully understand. So I think our brain kind of fill in gaps that like where we don't know what's going on. Our brains will fill in the gaps, and that's the explanation that I would have for
I myself fall on a willing to believe but very skeptical side of things. I hate fucking ghost hunter shows. My wife mocks me mercilessly because I'm always like, you can't set the electronic, like the EMF readers they use to ghost. So how can they know if it's working right or not?
I mean, if you can set a piano to spooky.
It's different. John Carpenter can do anything. If John Carpenter hunted ghosts, I would believe it.
Very true. But yeah, I fall on the side of, I think people just need an explanation for things.
I think it's something we can't explain yet, but eventually we will be able to. And I think it will be more mundane than people would like to believe.
Yeah. And
but I think ghosts are fascinating though. And I love ghost stories. So
yeah. And for me, I like it when it's fun and whimsical, like Poltergeist, not like edgy and like, oh, this person hung themselves and this and that. Like, I like the funner side of it, like Haunted Mansion and stuff. Beetlejuice.
Well, I mean, Haunted Mansion does open with a person hanging themselves, but
yeah, but then it gets fun after that. But yeah, I like the fun take on like the afterlife and underworld and stuff. Like, especially
go over the top with it.
I like that because that's fun.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's the only time I'll say that on this podcast, because I know like people believe different things.
Real bearing on the movie, because movies are allowed to operate by their own rules, and within the movie they set up their rules very nicely, so I can believe and follow it. Yeah,
yeah, and people believe whatever you want. I don't care what you believe. Believe whatever you want. I just wanted to get that out there so you know where I'm coming from with when I watch ghost movies.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But speaking of beliefs and rules, this movie has a great tone-setting opening, I think, with Annabelle. That kind of teaches you like a nice soft introduction to the world of the movie.
It starts on an opening shot of my aunt as a doll. Annabelle has the facial features of my aunt.
All right.
So equally as haunting as a person. But you didn't hear that from me.
Oh, no one in your family listens to this podcast.
Oh, my family would agree with me. It's fine. Causes as much havoc as Annabelle does. But yeah, which knowing Annabelle was a spinoff, I thought she was going to have a bigger role to play, especially since it opens with her.
Yeah, and especially because like that's what people talk about with this movie, I feel like. Mm-hmm. Which has always been weird to me, because I saw this maybe like 2 or 3 years after it came out. I'm trying to think, it came out in 2013. I think I saw it like 2016, 2017, because my wife loves this movie. And it went up on Netflix, and she was like, I can't believe you haven't seen it. So we put it on, and I was just like, wait, Annabelle's not the main character. She's not. I don't know why, but yeah, because like every article like from when this movie came out was like the true story behind Annabelle, the star of The Conjuring. Because I think because the movie doesn't go that much into that backstory, and it's one of their most famous cases. People felt the need, I guess, to like really like be like, oh, Annabelle, no, she's really interesting, and then they did the spinoff. So that's like weirdly this very good movie, not about a doll's legacy, is the doll in it for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, probably because that's the most marketable thing about the movie.
Oh yeah, you can sell an Annabelle toy, you can't sell a Bathsheba toy.
Well, no, I mean the real thing that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a retelling of that, even though it's just the opening.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
It's good. It's creepy. And it's quick. It's kind of like an awesome little, like, short horror movie.
Yeah. When the intro is happening and they threw away Annabelle, and then they just heard, like, really loud banging on the door. So my first thought is, that doll would break its hand knocking on the door that hard.
It's not the doll. It's a demon, Zach. But there are rules. It is setting them up.
But I mean, that's just where my brain goes.
It's one of those funny things to picture that doll doing it.
Yeah, I just want to see.
All I can picture is like the doll just throwing itself against the wall.
Hey, I'm running out of things. Open the door.
I can't reach the handle. I'm a doll.
Let me back in. It's cold out there.
And then we cut to Ed and Lorraine Warren giving a lecture on ghost hunting, ghost busting, I should say. It makes them feel good.
Busting makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm an adult virgin.
See, you're teaching me horror movies. I teach you pop culture references.
Yeah, I like it.
It's great.
It's a wonderful cultural exchange. But right off the bat, I mean, Patrick Wilson.
I loved him in this movie.
I just love Patrick Wilson in general. And he has never said this, but the way he plays this character, I feel like Patrick Wilson thinks that Ed Warren is full of shit in the most delightful way, though. Like, he must feel about him the way that I do. Like, oh, this guy, like Patrick Wilson, the way I describe his performance in this is one part genuine, like, believer, religious, hunting ghosts. One part Elvis Presley. And one part like old fashioned, like, huckster. Yeah. And he's so good. He plays all three at once. Yeah. And it's like the perfect take on this character.
Yeah, totally. The whole time we were watching this movie, I just kept impersonating him because it's the way he played it was just so good. Like a Midwestern boy. Just oh, these demons over here.
Yeah, he flies between like sincere to like working a crowd to like getting you to give him your money or something.
Good old boy.
Yeah, I love him I love Patrick Wilson in general. I love that James Wan has kind of helped him reinvent himself as, like, even though he's often playing the lead in these movies, he's playing a very character actor lead. Yeah, and I love it. Yeah, because for a while, like, everyone was trying to figure out, like, how do we make Patrick Wilson a leading man? And then Zack Snyder said, we don't. He should gain 40 pounds and play Night Owl in Watchmen.
Oh, yeah, he was in Watchmen. That's right.
Yeah, he's one of the best performances in that movie. Yeah. Kind of cast against type at the time. And now that's his type. Sort of just normal good dude who's really interesting to watch. Yeah.
The entire time, his voice sounded like our impression of George Lucas.
A little bit. Well, you know, there are these ghosts, and
it's I tell you, it's Steve. Steve is messing with me.
You gotta throw a little Jersey on it, man.
Was it Jersey or
I don't know where he thinks Ed Warren is from.
I got more like Midwestern,
I guess.
Like
yeah,
Milwaukee or something.
Yeah, sometimes but it's the actor doing an accent thing of like eventually it just kind of becomes all accents.
Yeah, it's just described as accent.
Yeah, given enough time. And then Vera Farmiga is also very good in this movie as Lorraine Warren, his wife. The clairvoyant. I really like Vera Farmiga. Departed is one of my favorite movies. She's great in it. Yeah, she's good in this movie. She's no Patrick Wilson, but who is?
Patrick Wilson is.
Yeah.
He's the ocean master.
Orm, thank you very much.
Ocean master.
Orm. I just like saying Orm.
I like saying Ocean Master. How can you not like saying Ocean Master?
Just try saying Orm. It's very fun.
Orm.
Ugh.
Ocean Master. Ocean
the
Man.
Disdain on your face saying Orm made my night.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson and whatever the fuck his hairline is.
Then where does it go?
Then we cut over to the Perrin family moving into their new house. It's a married couple played by a guy from Office Space.
Yeah.
And
best guy.
I have their names right
His
here.
name is Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston and Lily Taylor play the couple, and they have 5 daughters.
One of them is Beezus.
Beezus? Who is Beezus?
Joey King plays one of the daughters, and she is also Beezus in Ramona and Beezus, starring Selena Gomez.
Oh. After my time, I suppose.
Well, Selena Gomez was the love of my childhood. So
that's fair. I get it.
And then one of them was CGI baby from Twilight.
Yeah. Turns out not CGI, just weird.
No, Matt, it was very CGI.
She looks like CGI in this movie though too.
If you look back,
the
at
baby was CGI. She was just weirdly airbrushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who airbrushes a child? Those movies are wild, man.
Just give me Michael Sheen
all day, every day.
Out of 10.
The best part of that entire franchise.
He turned it up to spooky for sure.
Yes, he did. He was the only one like, we're playing vampires? I got this.
I was a werewolf for such a long time. Give me this, finally. But we're here to talk about
The Conjuring. But they're moving into their house with a fantastic long take. As they're like to like give you like the layout of the house, which I think is really smart and really fun because it kind of subtly maps out where everything is going to happen so that you end in the water where the boy drowned at your first spooky occurrence, her finding the toy.
And also, I just remembered, I hate this movie.
Oh, yeah.
They introduce a dog.
We are introduced to the dog who will not go into the house.
And doesn't get any pets from anybody.
No, they pet him.
No, he just like stay there. He doesn't like pet him.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Disrespect.
And then they move into the house. They play their clapping hide and seek game for some reason. Still unclear.
Only
it's like Marco Polo.
Movie.
Only so we can get like the best scene in this movie.
That they play in the trailers apparently.
The trailer for this, it actually genuinely has one of my favorite trailers. They cut all the stuff where it's all the girls playing into the trailer, so it looks like the mom is playing with them, so it's a little longer, and they just essentially let the clip play out, and it just ends with and then the title card.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to see this movie. And then I didn't. But that's because I'm lame.
One thing I will say, even though like ghost stuff doesn't give me the heebie-jeebies, credit to James Wan or whoever's responsible, just horror movie filmmaking in general. Because we watch these movies right before we film this, and it's trained my brain to like look for things in corners of my eyes, and like even though I'm looking at you, I keep like jumping to like behind you because I'm like, because my brain is just wired to do that right now.
Yeah, and James Wan's bag of tricks are, even if he's not doing a long take, he does like, you know, the showy kind, like the opening of the Perrin family. He does takes that are consistently longer, like with less cuts in them than most filmmakers do, and it really, especially now where like literally I think somebody did like a count, like it's something typically like 3 cuts a second or something, 3 cuts every 10 seconds.
Yeah,
his are, especially in this where it's supposed to be the 70s, he lets things just sit.
Yeah,
and it just ratchets up the tension, especially because our brains are just trained to want cuts now.
Yeah.
I think like James Wan is legitimately that kind of person who just wakes up and like writes down an idea and then executes it really well on set the next day. Like where he's just, I was up all night and I figured it out. I cracked it. Or I'm sorry, he's very Australian. I cracked it.
He's Australian?
Yes. He and Lee Whannell, his partner for his first couple movies, are very Australian.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's really like jarring when I was watching interviews from like behind the scenes for all this, and it'd be like Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, hey, I'm James Wan. And I was like, I forgot he's Australian.
That was scarier than this movie.
Yeah. He just seems like a good guy. Like in a nice contrast to a lot of the movies we've covered. No bad stories about this. And every behind the scenes clip I saw was all smiles. And James Wan just being a sweetheart to people.
Oh, that's probably because this movie was made recently and not...
When like directors finally realized like, oh, we don't have to torture people? Sick.
Yeah, I really love the long takes.
Yeah.
Especially when they would do cool camera flips and stuff. There's a lot of
he's
those.
very into that.
Yeah.
And then they discover they have a cellar, and all I think anytime this happens in any horror movie, because it always happens, it's like, did you not have somebody like come inspect the house before you bought it? That seems like something they would have found.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Is this why you're supposed to do that? Like,
but it was boarded up.
I guess, but like, also like, why?
Also, like, the kids accidentally discovered that within the first day of being in the house. By playing their blindfold, they literally did it blindfolded.
Yeah.
Moving the story right along.
Yeah, I guess it's that thing of like, look, we only got 2 hours.
We gotta fit.
We're gonna condense some things.
Yeah, we just gotta get spooky stuff going.
The oldest daughter from this movie in real life has said the movie outside of the last act with the exorcism pretty accurate to what their experience was. Just that the Warrens weren't quite as involved as the movie would lead you to believe, and that there was no exorcism. But other than that, she said, like, yeah, most of this is stuff like she's got a book. Apparently it covers all of it, and it's all pretty much the same. And it sounds really upsetting. And I feel very bad that her family went through that, regardless of whether it was ghosts or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it sucks regardless. Yeah. Because even if it's not or whatever, still weird, still bothersome.
Still makes me worry.
Yeah. Still could be another person messing with them.
Yeah.
You never know when good boy Mikey's gonna come around with a ghost sheet with some glasses.
He almost does in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then slowly just spooky stuff starts happening. Right, like we said earlier, we talked about it already with the clapping scene. It is fantastic. I think it's such an amazingly executed scene that, again, really relies on a use of longer takes than what we're used to now to you just know it's going to happen. And you know it was set up 2 scenes ago. The second they start playing, you're like, what is it going to be?
Yeah.
What's going to jump out? And I love that James Wan isn't cheap.
Yeah,
like
that's what I did appreciate.
He doesn't really rely on like, it was the cat jump scares. You know, he doesn't do what we talked about on the Blair Witch, the Luden bust, where it's like, I don't know, it was just a loud noise.
Yeah.
Right? It worked. It got you. Yeah. He's like, no, if something comes out and scares you, it's here to move the plot forward. If you hear a scary noise, there is a demon attached to it.
And it gives more background to what's going on each time too.
Yeah. It builds very nicely.
Yeah.
I've always felt that James Wan, at least in the way he does horror, his 2 biggest influences are Tobe Hooper and Sam Raimi. And I think this movie is kind of a beautiful melding of those 2 ideas.
Definitely.
And that it's very Tobe Hooper with the long takes and like just sit on it, just focus on it.
Yeah.
You can't look away. And then at the end, all the nutso stuff starts happening, and it's very Sam Raimi, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
If you want to see how delightful his makeup artist on all of his movies is, he is one of the hosts of Halloween Wars on I think it's on the Food Network. I watch it on Hulu. They have to make Halloween themed food decorations. It's very fun.
That's fun.
He's one of the judges because he does horror movies. So it's cute.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's delightful. He has a goatee.
So how much of this movie was like practical effects?
I think just about all of it.
Okay, that's cool.
This movie actually didn't have a huge budget. It only cost $20 million to make, which I mean today is like nothing, especially for, you know, there's some, everybody in this is a relatively established name. James Wan at this point is kind of the biggest name in horror. I think right around here is when he also is like in talks to do like a Fast and the Furious movie. So he's hot, you know. Getting all that done for $20 million is kind of impressive. And then it made $300 million.
Ooh.
It is one of the few like surprise word of mouth hits in recent years, because it's a movie like the more recent movies I can think of that like just stayed in theaters.
Yeah,
because I remember like the week it came out, I think it was like #1, and it did pretty well. I think it made back its budget opening weekend, which is always good for a smaller movie. And I remember like a couple of my friends had seen it, and all of them were like, no, you have to go see it. And then like the next week it was like 6 more of my friends were like, we all went and saw it. It's so good. And then like everyone I knew had like gone to see it except me. It's always fun to see a movie build like that.
What year was this?
I believe it's 2013.
Yeah, I would have been old enough, but I don't remember my friends and stuff. I wouldn't have gone to see it, but I just don't remember the cultural impact of it, I guess.
I remember people like really liking it. Like I remember a dude I knew who just like never really went to see movies. He went and saw it like 3 times in theaters. He was like, it's that good, dude. And I still didn't go watch it because I suck. I think Conjuring, at least the first one when it came out, was a little more viewed as like, the prestige-y horror because it had the cast and a little bit more of a budget than like a Paranormal Activity. It wasn't relying on like the found footage thing.
Yeah.
So it was respected, It wasn't the movie you went to go like watch and laugh at with your friends.
Yeah. Because I really didn't know about this whole universe until like this past year with like The Nun and everything.
Well, this year is kind of like the year it peaked and I think maybe broke because I think within a year of like it finally has hit the Marvel point of saturation, and there was an Annabelle movie and The Nun within a year of each other, and supposedly La Llorona was supposed to be one, but they just changed the script so that it didn't tie to The Conjuring. But stuff is just getting like increasingly creepy. Their mom is getting like more and more detached from everything, finding all these weird bruises. Finally, things take an upsetting turn when like the girls interact with one of the ghosts.
No, it took an upsetting turn when the dog died.
Well, yeah, but they thought just we know better because we're watching a horror movie. They just thought like, oh shit, our dog died. Like, and our daughter found him. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, how much would that suck? But like, I liked that it didn't. This sound weird because it kind of died a good death, but it didn't die like a bad violent death. It just looked like it just died outside. Like, it happens. It sucks. And it breaks my heart because I love puppers. But that wouldn't be like, oh, clearly this is the work of demons.
Didn't even get a pet. I'm so upset.
Maybe the demon petted him?
Yeah, to death.
Oh.
No, maybe little Rory gave him pets.
I bet Rory was his friend.
Rory
is also a good boy.
Rory was the MVP of this movie.
It's true.
Sure. He was a little ghost boy.
Yeah, he's the little ghost boy who lives in the toy.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go with that. Rory gave the dogs a good pets.
If that helps you, yes.
And it was like, shh, you don't want to deal with this. Trust me. Just go sleep.
Oh, did he white fang him? Like, just go. Nobody wants you.
But it's fine because all dogs go to heaven.
It's true.
I think that's also why I'm not super into like ghost movies, because I feel like they do that all the time, where it's
lots of foreshadowing.
Yeah, like too much foreshadowing to where I'm like, yeah, I totally know what's gonna happen next.
You knew there was gonna be a secret passageway that Vera Farmiga could fall down and get trapped in the basement.
I knew that they were gonna have to go in the wardrobe, and go to Narnia.
Wouldn't it have been great if Mr. Tumnus just walked out of that wardrobe?
Oh, I thought we were playing hide and go seek, you guys.
Children of Adam and Eve, what are you doing here? I'm Professor X.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
That was like his big breakout.
Wait.
You didn't know?
I was a child when I saw that movie.
I'm so happy I get to be here for these moments, Zach. Are you Googling it?
I need to see a picture. Oh my god. It's James McAvoy.
Yeah. I thought everybody knew that.
Again, I saw it. To me, he's just Mr. Tumnus. That's all I remember.
That's how good he is in that movie. They're solid. You know what else is solid? Not ghosts. The Conjuring.
God damn it, man.
Segues are hard.
Yeah, so then they track down. Oh wait, first they show that Patrick Wilson has an armory of haunted shit in his house where his daughter can just waltz on
that is
in.
a real thing that still exists. You can find it, for a while they actually had it open as like a little bit of a museum. I think you still had to like get permission and probably pay to like go. Like you couldn't, it wasn't just like an open tourist thing.
Yeah.
And eventually they closed it down because people, I mean, again, I think Ed and Lorraine Warren are absolutely fascinating. I love that they exist in the world, but people kept going in and taking pictures and being like, yeah, that's not an occult item. Like literally, this is the thing that happened. That's not an occult item. That is a Dungeons and Dragons like guidebook. And they were like, well, no, but you see, it mentions demons and torture. And they're like, yeah, demons that you fight in D&D. So eventually it is no longer just like open to the public, but you can still find like every now and then like a famous YouTuber or like TV personality will get to go on like the tour and like meet Annabelle and stuff. I think the BuzzFeed Supernatural guys, BuzzFeed Unsolved, sorry, have a really good video where they go and meet Annabelle. Trust me, you're going to want to go on a deep dive of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Follow that instinct.
No, I'm just like, I could go on for so long about the Satanic Panic in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating.
The fact that was in there.
They were around in the 80s, man.
I know, but I'm just having flashbacks of just like, you can't play D&D.
Yeah. No, Ed and Lorraine Warren are fascinating and worth looking up. Yeah. Everything you can on them. They have a number of books.
But yeah, so it shows.
Yeah. I mean, it literally just opens up a room and says, what do you want to see in the sequel? Pick an item. Like and it's awesome. Like I love it. I love that they do that. But yeah. But it does.
Yeah. Here's a spinoff here. Here's a spinoff here.
I desperately want to see whatever the story about that samurai suit is.
Oh, yeah.
What ghost is that? Give me that spinoff. Give it to me now. Give me Patrick Wilson
in the
samurai
armor.
Sword fighting a demon now. He can even wear the armor. I don't care. Ocean Master versus Demon Samurai. That movie makes $1 billion.
But what if it just cuts to Darth Maul looking all sad because Patrick Wilson beat him, and then he's like, oh, I know, and then cuts to him grabbing the samurai armor. So it's Darth Maul versus Ocean Master in samurai outfits.
Aquaman 3.
Jason Momoa jumps in.
Yes.
My man. So he has a little shop of horrors.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know
it's a title.
Roll credits.
Yeah, and we meet his daughter, and we get to see they have a very nice family dynamic. Like, again, good horror movies. I like all the people in this for the most part.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, and they do a good job of like, I know that watching interviews with James Wan, he just kind of said like, it was really important to me, like, one, because these are real people, but two, just because of the art of storytelling. Like, if we don't like this family, if we don't like the Warrens, then all the craziness that I'm going to throw at you in the third act means nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome that in a time like today, when a lot of horror movies, including some that James Wan produced, including some of them that are Conjuring spinoffs that James Wan produced, they don't care about doing that. It's nice to see that he like really takes care with his movies and his characters.
Yeah. I will say though, I love Ron Livingston because Office Space is great, but he's no Mr. Incredible.
That's fair. But this also isn't their movie. It's the Warrens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the master stroke of this movie is apparently like for like a year they were trying to just write a straight movie about the parents where like towards the end the Warrens come into it. And then I guess like a producer bought the rights to the script that they were working on and just said like, well, that's because like, no offense to the parents, but the Warrens are way more interesting. make this movie about the Warrens and their journey to help them.
Yeah.
Like, we don't make movies about like the victims that Superman is saving. We make movies about Superman.
Yeah.
Like, Superman's more interesting.
No, I just want to see a movie of like a guy that Superman saved and how his life changed from then on out.
There's a lot of good comics about that. I'll send them your way.
Yeah. I mean, that's how a lot of supervillains get started too.
Yeah. Including Lex Luthor. Superman accidentally burned off all his hair. Vendetta.
And bringing back Mr. Incredible syndrome.
Exactly.
But Conjuring.
Yes. In theory, that's what we're here to talk about.
So after all the spooky stuff happens, they track down Patrick Wilson and
Vera Farmiga.
Yeah, and get him to come over and check stuff out.
I love that every time they show them giving a lecture, it is like a packed house of people really excited. And I'm like, I've been to college lectures. It's like 5 people who 2 of them are napping.
Especially in like a supernatural.
Yeah.
setting.
In the 70s. Like, yeah. No. Like now when like the internet exists and somebody would fully like find out about it because of like a Facebook event and be like, oh, I will drive, a state over to go see these whack jobs. Then not so much.
Yeah. And then immediately right away they're like, oh, your shit's haunted, dog.
Yeah. At first they're kind of trying to be, look, everything's got a real explanation, blah blah blah, and then like immediately they see a ghost and they were like, well, fuck.
Well, the wife she sees the ghost, but you don't know that yet.
Yeah.
But Patrick Wilson's like, oh, cold, you say? Is the knocking 3 times? Yeah, your shit's haunted, dog.
Yeah. And then I love the creepy little touch when he goes to listen to the tapes of him interviewing her. She's the only one who doesn't show up on them. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And then it just turns to ba 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 ghost noises.
Yeah.
And then then they're targeted too.
Yeah. So they decide they need to move in. Patrick Wilson needs to assert his dominance over this family's father
by starting to fix their car.
Fully cucking that dude. I mean, if you gotta be by Patrick Wilson, right? Like, because he is fully like, oh no, I'm gonna be the father your daughter's always wanted.
He even tells his wife later, oh, that little one, April, do you see the way she gave me pancakes? I'm the best, aren't I?
I'm stealing this man's family.
Oh no, the ghost killed your wife and you. I guess I have to take all these kids now.
That's such a good dad. What if that was the twist in this movie? Ed Warren was just fucking with these people and then stole their kids. Better movie. I mean, I like this movie a lot, but way better movie.
Just turns into a thriller.
Yeah.
Winks at the camera at the end.
But see, here's the problem. It's Patrick Wilson, so everyone would leave the movie and be like, what a hero. He saved those children.
Did you see the sideburns on that man? Wow.
Those were real.
Yes, they were. Yeah. That's where all of his car fixing powers comes from.
Of course. That's how car repair works, right?
Yeah, and they're like trying to figure it out because they have to get evidence so
that they can get approval from the Catholic Church to come perform an exorcism. Because I know we're cheating when we say that this is a ghost movie because it's demons or whatever, but again, they made it up, so it's fine.
Yeah.
The Warrens, not the family.
Yeah,
it's 2 separate things.
Yeah.
I love that, like, when they're showing the priest the video of all the freaky stuff that happened at the house, like the daughter getting dragged by her hair, and like the priest is like, oh, well, fuck. Like, that's his attitude. Like, I don't
want to go check that out.
They're not Catholic. I can't do it. Come on, man. Fine. It just looks really scary.
I saw a toy car go across the room for like 7 hours. It was way worse.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a tornado room with a clown doll spinning around.
No clown dolls in this movie. So definitely a couple pegs lower than Poltergeist.
A tree didn't try to eat anybody. Yeah. Shit gets real serious.
Yeah, so then the parents are staying at a hotel trying to get away from the house so they can actually rest. The dad Office Space guy has to go to
Ron Livingston.
Yeah, I just like calling him Office Space guy.
I made a joke that I was proud of during the movie when they started getting haunted. I was like, well, hopefully it's not a printer ghost or he's screwed. Ron Livingston knows how to he knows how to lay a beating on a printer.
God, I love that movie.
So good. So good.
But he leaves for a minute to go get something or go to work. It doesn't matter. He's gone for a minute and he comes back and the mother has taken the 2 youngest daughters, and it's right around this time that
that was later.
Oh, I'm way ahead of us. Sorry. First, they figure out
he took the girls to go get ice cream and left Patrick Wilson and wife of Patrick Wilson behind. And
just call him Ed and Lorraine.
I'm just gonna see Patrick Wilson and say Patrick Wilson.
Vera Farmiga has a number of awards, sir.
Her name is also hard to say.
Vera?
Vera.
There you go. Nailed
Vera. It's just it's not hard to say, it's hard to remember.
Yeah, I get it. She's no Patrick Wilson, like I said before.
But yeah, and she sees the ghost and it throws up all over the mom.
Ugh. Again, this is where it gets real Raimi.
And I love it. Just about to say that's where it gets real Evil Dead.
Yeah, this movie takes a turn that I really love.
Yeah. But yeah, then they come back. They bring over Brad, Officer Brad.
So they bring over Hopper and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I want a spin-off movie of immediately.
AKA Patrick Wilson's assistant and a police officer.
Yes. I'm still unclear why they needed a cop,
or why a skeptical cop would believe them and go out there with them.
Yeah, they need maybe it was there and we just missed it. They need a line where he's Ron Livingston's cousin or something.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm the one that helped him find the place in town. I'm just worried about my family. So I wanted to come help.
But no,
I don't believe it, but if they believe it, I'm here to, just something, justify it. Because I'm just do you need police permission to investigate ghosts? Was that a thing in the 70s?
Well, because I took it as he's there for protection, but it's
I guess, but you want
I guess
get one of them real Catholic Irish cops.
Not the skeptic Brad.
Right, not Brad who's I don't know, it's creaky.
I guess they probably explain it to oh, maybe somebody's messing with them and
yeah, I mean really the reason that Brad is there is so that he can ask questions and be kind of an audience surrogate for a minute without having to, because at this point it would feel weird if we had to interrupt the pain that the Perrin family is going through to have them be and what's this device do, Ed?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
And give some good old comic relief.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and then
they set up all their ghost investigating equipment, and pretty much immediately they capture all the ghosts on film, all the ghosts on everything.
Which when Ed and Lorraine.
Yes.
When
just call him Patrick and his wife.
When Patrick and his wife go back to their house and after they've done some research, Patrick Wilson's movie wife then finds out oh no, this shit hella haunted. There's a dead kid there, a witch there,
and it's all being controlled by the first person who was a witch. I don't love that in real life they kind of imply that in this world no, the Salem witch trials did happen, but they were right. Those women deserve to die. It's oh no. That happens a lot in horror movies, and every time I'm when you say that they actually were witches, I think people forget those were real people.
Yeah.
It's kind of not great.
Yeah.
Like I get it because it's in America, it's like one of our few big pieces of mythology. You know, is like the Salem witch trials, but like they were real people who died and it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
they were not Satan worshipping witches. They were just innocent women.
Yeah. Yeah, from that side it's like, yeah, that sucks. But weren't there like actual like people who like would sacrifice a child and like
I mean, there's not really
shit like that?
There's not really a ton of evidence of that. In fact, the movie kind of exaggerates the Bathsheba story, even from what the true story says it was. In that there was a woman named Bathsheba, but she did not hang herself. And while she was accused of witchcraft, she was found innocent, and she was accused of killing a child, but it never even went to court. It simply went to like kind of the court of public opinion, but an actual investigation by like police at the time found she was not the one who must have caused the child harm. Even though it is mysterious and creepy, because it was like a kid passed away who supposedly was in her care, and some of the evidence pointed to it looked like someone had killed the baby.
Yeah.
So the court of public opinion blamed her, but like also she was found innocent by police. She lived out the rest of her life pretty normally, and in fact was even buried in the same cemetery as her child, which I don't think you would do if you thought she was really a child murderer.
Yeah.
So like the Bathsheba angle of it in this movie, they had to exaggerate it. So I get it, but it's like, you could have just said she was a witch and not because they directly reference her cousin was one of the witches in the Salem witch trials.
That's true.
So you know what that means. They're all really witches and deserved it. It's like they're real people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's the part. That's the only. I'm fine with it being like, oh, she was an evil witch and she murdered kids. Like, just say that. You don't need to tie it to this real event in this case.
You don't need a name drop.
Like sometimes it works. Like movie you and I both really love. It's in like my top 5, Paranorman. But they basically say it was still wrong to do it.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, they got the story of the girl.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, you actually sympathize because it was a bad.
Oh, they would not be bad people. They're just different.
Yeah.
Even if it is true.
I love Leica.
Paranorman is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
So many John Carpenter references.
Is there?
Think about it. Watch it again now that you've watched some of these movies.
I'm absolutely going to.
I mean, the plot is basically the plot of The Fog, so.
Because Coraline's my favorite, so I watched that one the most. And I think I've seen Paranorman and Box Trolls the least.
Paranorman is legitimately in like my top 5 movies of all time.
As you should.
And I saw it on a whim in theaters with one of my friends who was just like, I don't know, this is what's out. You want to go see it? And I love animation. I love stop motion. I had loved Coraline. I was like, yeah, let's go. But I didn't expect much. And literally, I think my friend was embarrassed because by the end of that movie, I was like crying in public. He was a little bit like, oh, I gotta sit there now. Bye. And I was like, they're both misunderstood and they need each other.
This is such a good movie.
It is.
Fun fact, since I'm animation boy, first ever LGBT character in any animation ever.
That's pretty great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out Leica.
But The Conjuring, they're still waiting on the approval, and that's when they go to the hotel, right?
Yeah.
Right around here.
Then the mom snatches the two kids
and takes them back to the house because that's when Lorraine realizes Bathsheba was this child murderer. She's using possession to possess the mothers and murder the children. That's why there's all these child deaths tied to this property. So they have to go save the girls. Literally just barely in time.
Yeah.
Unless she was literally like, just like, hold on, they're going to be here in like 5 minutes. It's just stop moving. It's fine. There they are. Like she was about to murder that girl otherwise.
Poor little Beezus.
And then this movie just goes nuts. It goes full Raimi. And I love every second of it. Like right down to the weird little bird puppets. I mean, it does kind of look like what we do in the shadows, though. You've ruined it for me.
That was Nelly.
I know. You and my wife have ruined it for me.
You're welcome. 'Cause, that's the other thing that I'm just now realizing. The thing about like always spooky stuff happening, it all kind of blurs together for me because like I'm trying to replay things to talk about, but to me that whole whenever it's like a sequence of spooky stuff, it all just like blurs together to me.
That's fair. Like the exorcism scene here, like I said, I love it. I think it's well done, but it is kind of just an exorcism scene. Some spooky shit happens and the movie ends. As opposed to like the clap scene, which is like this master class in like how to build tension, how to release. This is just like, but it also like your movie can't end any other way than just like, look, we've been through the ringer. This is ultimately about good versus evil. Good's gotta win.
When Patrick Wilson busts out the Bible and starts speaking Latin in the subtitles, so I didn't mishear it, but in the subtitles in Latin, he goes, Vade Retro Satan. And it sounds like a YouTube gamer.
I would watch the shit out of that channel. Does they only play horror games, do you think? Or
no, that's like Minecraft. A Call of Duty clan. Like Vade. You got Vade Babadook, Vade Bagul, Vade Bathsheba, Vade Retro Satan.
Hey guys, it's your boy Vade Retro Satan 69 here.
420XX.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, I think literally after I made that joke, me and Nelly just whenever the ghost face would pop up, like smash that like button.
Leave a comment below telling me your favorite thing about Vade Retro Satan. What's your favorite part of an exorcism?
Oh yeah,
mine's floating upside down.
Bum, 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 bum. And then she uses her ghost force powers to pick up the shotgun and like shoot at him. I was like, quick scope.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I got out of this movie.
That's not a bad thing to get out of this movie. And then they vanquish the demon and everybody gets to live happily ever after. Because that's how movies like this end. You know, like that's the most I can say. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's not a judgment pass. It's just, The Exorcist is the most famous exorcism movie of all time. And it's about good versus evil. So you can guess who wins. You know, like that's what these movies are about. I don't begrudge them that. You know, Superman always has to punch Lex Luthor at the end.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. And then it ends on the Asgardians putting the Infinity Stone in the collector's vault to tie into the next movie.
All I could think of was Indiana Jones. Where's it being taken to? It's going to be handled by top men. Who? Top men. That top man? Patrick Wilson.
And then the Rory's little thing plays.
Toy. You're expecting a jump scare, but it doesn't. It just kind of is like, It's over. Like, I think that's the message of that little moment is like, you don't have to be afraid. Good fought evil and won.
Yeah, it's put away in Patrick Wilson's lair of doom.
Yeah. Who keeps that in their house?
I know.
If you genuinely believe this stuff is all haunted, like, yeah, have a separate build, get a shed at least.
Yeah, like not somewhere that your kid can just waltz on into. Which that was the thing we skipped over. Their kid got like
tortured by the demon.
Yeah.
As they said when they first started investigating earlier in the movie, the demons don't like us because they know what we're here for.
Yeah.
Which is a great little bit of setup. And then it gives them kind of a fun moment to explore the space of the room a little bit more and have a little bit more Annabelle, which is neat. It's a fun scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add anything to the movie. It's just there because James Wan's good at this. So he gets into one more good, scary set piece.
My aunt wanted more screen time.
Yeah. She has to earn a living, Zach.
Yep. And then it showed pictures of the real people and they all looked like actual ghosts.
That's just them washing out the black and white photo.
Well, I mean, even the way they're dressed, like Wednesday Addams and shit. Like,
yeah. I love that now you've seen a photo of the real Ed and Lorraine Warren to compare against Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson, who, like, despite us mocking his hairline, which is fine.
I didn't mock his hairline.
I did.
You did.
You joined in for a second. I remember.
I said we're two white guys. We can't talk shit. I said Patrick.
It's going any day now. My dad was bald as fuck. I've seen my future. But he is like this tall, strapping, handsome man, and Vera Farmiga is like this beautiful Hollywood actress. And then you see real Ed and Lorraine Warren, and it's just kind of this lovely young woman, but no Vera Farmiga. Like, I feel like I'm being a dick. And then Ed Warren is like, how did you get to Patrick Wilson from that?
It's a movie. It always happens.
I love him, but like, he's like 5'6" and like 200 pounds and has even less hair than Patrick Wilson than I will have in the future.
Yeah, that was the movie.
Yeah, that's the movie.
At the end of the day, subscribe to Vade Retro Satan on YouTube. Coming at you live with the best haunting content.
Right. I have something that might make this movie better for you, though.
Okay. I'm ready.
You know what's way more interesting than this movie?
Huh.
The lawsuit surrounding it that almost happened.
Oh.
So someone had obtained the rights to write a book called The Demonologist about Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they had sold the rights to that book to not Warner Brothers or New Line Studios. And it contains the story of the Perron family haunting in it. So they were arguing like, well, no, like that's in my book, which the Warrens gave me the rights to use this story, which has been optioned for a film. So your movie is infringing upon my rights. To which Warner Brothers argued, no, this is a true story. We can tell it. And they almost had to go to court, which would have meant that Warner Brothers almost had to prove that ghosts were real.
They do have the rights to Scooby-Doo. They could have busted out the mystery machine.
How amazing would, like, that's the courtroom drama I want, though. Especially just, I want to hear the other dude's side where he desperately wants to make this movie, but now he has to say, no, it is bullshit, sir. It is not true in any way. And I would like the rights to it. You know, there'd be a moment where it's like, now I'm going to bring out this containment unit. Objection. The judge has to sit back and go, I'll allow it. This movie writes itself, Zach. What are we doing with our lives?
Hold up. We have a surprise guest. Juror, please bring him in. Bill Murray.
Now, Mr. Murray, is it or is it not true that you are not afraid of no ghosts?
I ain't afraid no ghosts.
Yeah, so that's better than this movie. A movie I love, but I desperately want to know what that court case would have been.
I just want to see like the courtroom sketches.
Oh my God.
Of like people waving their arms around and be like, ooh.
Ooh, you can't see me when I'm making spooky arms, guys.
This is what happened.
All right, we're gonna call upon James Wan to give testimony, and he gets up there and he's like, "If we could turn out the lights, please." Takes out a flashlight, shines it on his face. It was a dark and stormy night.
You're right. This is a way better movie.
Yeah. I'll allow it. It's just Miracle on 34th Street, but with ghosts.
Amazing.
Oh, and the one other fun fact I have about this movie, because it sounds like it was just filming went off without a hitch. I don't have a lot of fun stuff for it, unfortunately, but this movie is rated R.
Oh.
There is no swearing, very little violence, and no gore in the movie. So James Wan actually shot it looking for, after, Saw and stuff, like a PG-13 horror movie, and he was very much like, well, this is the kind of movie like teenagers would want to go see, like that's our demographic with this, like directly, like let's make it for that crowd, like the crowd that wants to go like what at a movie theater. And then it came back from the MPAA with an R, and he was apparently like just like hit the ceiling, like pissed, like like what the I know what gets you an R in this town. This is not Saw. Like, and like went to them and said, like, what do I have to cut? And they were like, we don't know what to tell you, dude. It's just too scary and upsetting the whole time. There's nothing you can cut that won't get you an R. So this movie is so scary R. that they couldn't give it a PG-13.
Rated R, too spooky for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is one, shitty. Fuck the MPAA. I've said before, I hate them. Watch This Film Is Not Yet Rated.
Listen to Nightmare on Elm Street episode for all Matt's hot takes. I believe that's the right one.
But then also, like, what great free advertising for your horror movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in closing, I really like this movie. Like a lot.
In closing, I really like Patrick Wilson.
He is the best part of the movie, so I'll give it to you there. When we get to the sequel, he does get to sing an entire Elvis song. It's a delight. It's just literally just 5 minutes of clearly he just went to James Wan and was like, I have been in like 6 of your fucking movies at this point. I did Broadway. I am a singer. You were going to point that camera at me for 5 minutes and I'm going to sing this whole Elvis song.
Just like Papa Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Before him.
Horror icons and Elvis, man.
Mm-hmm. It's a thing.
Yep, apparently. That's our episode on The Conjuring.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, really.
We got to tie it to Tarantino, which I can do pretty quick.
Do it.
Vera Farmiga is in The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's in 2 Tarantino movies. I'm sure there's like an easier one. Someone's going to be like, well, that little girl was... But I don't know that. So,
well, that little girl was a CGI baby. She's not a real person, Matt. It was all CG.
That would be amazing. All right, but thanks for listening. Where can everybody find you, Zach?
At Zac Shirk on Instagram, and that's it, pretty much. Where can they find you, Matt?
You can find me as I draw paintings on pretty much everything, or on my Facebook artist page of Matt Merys. And you can forward me all of your fun photos of Patrick Wilson being a delight. I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Oh, send me those too, please.
Yeah. If you've got Patrick Wilson memes, if those are a thing, I would very much like to see them. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
And where can everybody follow the podcast?
You can listen to Matt Makes Zac Watch Horror Movies on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcast. And what are we watching next week?
Well, next week we are watching one of the crowning achievements of horror. One of the most celebrated ghost films of all time, even though I feel like people forget it's about ghosts. We are watching Stanley Kubrick's controversial classic, The Shining.
I'm really excited for this one.
It's very good.
Aesthetics all the way. That's all I know about it. It's aesthetics.
Yeah, it's a great way to close out our Ghost Month and celebrate the holidays with your family that you love.
And last episode of the year.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. It's a good one to end on, I think, for the end of the year.
Yeah. So
I got a lot to say about the behind the scenes stuff of that movie. Ooh. So look forward to it. All right. So thanks everybody for listening.
And it's your boy, Vade Retro Satan. Like us on Instagram. Follow us on Spotify. Check out our mixtape on SoundCloud. And don't forget, special shout out, my boy, Vade Bagul. See you next time.